Money is one of the resources of all time, and frankly, it needs no introduction. I hope you know what money is at this point, but my question is, how does the AI deal with being given a literal infinite amount of money in EU4? Does it spam hire mercs, run godly advisors, or dare I even say, build manufactories? Let's find out. And before we do, a like on a video appreciated if you haven't already, and a subscription would be amazing. We crossed 26k again, so we're absolutely scaling. And if we can keep that up, that'll be incredible. Anyway, enough self-shitting. We got into self-shitting early today. Let's just get straight into it. How do we give the AI infinite money in the first case? The first thing that came to my mind is just add a free money decision. So I made no other modifications to EU4, just the free money decision at all, and let's take a look at what this does. We get 100 years of war, the usual things, and as we see in the decisions, we have the free money decision. I'm not bothered to localize this by giving it a description or title because this is just for personal use, I'm not publishing this, and it works very simply, it just gives you 10,000 ducats. Now, I don't want to have excessive lag from the AI spamming it, so what this actually does is that if you have 10,000 ducats or more, you don't get this decision, so you need to have less than 10,000 ducats. So if I were to, for example, go ahead and claim Defender of Faith, costing me money, I will have the decision pop up again. So basically, at any point that I'm below 10,000 ducats, I will press this button and gain 10,000 ducats. Now, one of the issues I thought I might have is the AI might ignore the free money button. And one of the ways you can make sure the AI does actually press the free money button is to increase the AI will do factor by something absolutely stupid. And that's pretty much what I've done here. In fact, I did have to test this to make sure there wasn't any stack overflow issues to make sure the AI doesn't actually hate pressing the button. But the long and short of it is, after increasing the AI factor to do this, pressing this button is like the top priority the AI ever will have. The moment this decision becomes available, the AI will drop literally everything it is doing to make sure it presses this button. It is its priority number one. Like everything else it can do in this game is a lower priority than pressing this button now, is all I will say. So yes, this button will get pressed. And when it does get pressed, they're up to all 19k. So what does this look like? Well, I have a save prepared earlier. Now, I only played this one to around 1500 because it was quite evident that really very few things actually changed. By having access to bulk money, we saw a lot of the AI put down a couple more forts. That was genuinely about it. The main issue, and this is one of the things that people would notice in multiplayer, if they ever have a stupid amount of money at the end of the campaign and just decide to fund a random one province miner in the middle of Siberia and see what the AI does with it, is that the AI is programmed in a way where even if it does have a short window full of cash, it doesn't actually spend it as much as it would if it was income instead. What I mean by that is that if an AI has an income of 3 ducats and 10,000 ducats in the bank, it's not going to spend those ducats on an advisor, even though it can absolutely reasonably afford a level 3 advisor, because it takes into account that it has not got the income to maintain this advisor. The AI is quite debt averse in this case as well, so it will build the odd building here and build some manufactories when given access to this decision. So for example, if we take a look at France here, we will see that it does have more manufactories than you would expect build. Like, this is more manufacturing than I would build. It's not done anything incredibly crazy. It's not built a manufacturer in every province. And despite having pretty much infinite money, it's not exactly running insane advisors. A mill and an admin +3, but nothing too stupid or too crazy here. The AI, even though it does have pretty much infinite money indirectly, it doesn't recognize this, so it doesn't actually spend it. So when you want to have the AI actually do things with money, make sure you give them subsidies instead of income. That is important. Also, damn, this AI is a patron of the arts and a scholar. That's incredible, honestly. But yes, nothing too major here. We saw some more of the AIs build up a couple more buildings. We saw a lot more OPMs survive longer than they should. And a lot more of the great projects got upgraded. Not even by that much, but for example, Versailles has been built by 1500. It's not the most unusual, but it is what it is. A lot more smaller countries also survived for, I guess, a bit longer. It's a bit hard to tell by the 1500s, but we haven't seen that as much consolidation as you would see in Italy by this point as well, for example. And certainly unusual to see countries like Grenada survive until the 1500s, or especially to see Albania survive this long. But hey, I guess it's a very Albanian spirit, that the moment you have infinite money, you immediately shove a rampart and a castle onto this province. Definitely a bad time for the Ottomans. But again, if we want to see the actual effects of the AI being exposed to infinite money, we need to change our approach. We need to give the AI consistent income, so not only does it have infinite money, so recognize it has practically infinite money. So let's pop in on France again. Again, we're going to load in, we're not going to have any issues, just going to demonstrate that we've done no other real changes, apart from the mod that gives the infinite money. As before, here's the 100 Years War event for France. And now let's take a look at triggered modifiers. Now, as always, I don't bother with localization or making anything look pretty for local mods like this, so free money isn't localized, but as you may have guessed, free money gives you free money, giving you yearly tax income of 120,000. This actually comes to 10,000 ducats every month. This has no conditions, this is always just active. Every single country gets this modifier, meaning that much like the decision which was available for everyone, every country gets it. Now, you may have spotted a little bit of claiming economic hegemony, and why is that? Well, it's quite simple. It's base tax. So, the French are taxing this from their vassals as well. Basically, vassals are a really good thing to have economically right now, but it doesn't actually really matter, because with 10,000 base income from taxes, you're fine. Like, you're really absolutely fine. Yes, you just let France claim economic hegemon here, but beyond that, everyone has infinite money. However, at least in this case, the AI is able to recognize they have infinite money, and hence act accordingly. So what does this look like by the 1500s? So here we are, and nothing too incredible. Again, Granada yet again manages to survive, is doing a great job this session, but we see a lot more of the smaller tags actually do reasonably well. The Germany situation remains like it normally is in Germany, but what I actually want to talk about right now is going to be England, and we're going to have to go into the timeline for this one. So initially, England was presented with a France war at the start of what it didn't do too well in, and lost Wales and Meath. Eventually, it would come back and start conquering this area, but England really struggled when everyone had infinite money income, and wasn't even able to reclaim Wales and have Scotland take a bit of it. The main problem is that one of the major advantages England actually has is just how filthy rich they are. So once you remove that, a lot of the other countries in the area are on a much more equal footing. Another thing that's almost universal here, though, is the development map mode, dear God alive. So basically, everyone is able to afford level 5 advisors, and more importantly, everyone actually hires level 5 advisors. If we click on basically any nation here, let's take a look at Landshut, for example. Not only are they running max money, they're running plus 5 advisors. And this applies to basically every single country on the planet right now, as they're actually using the money they're getting in monthly. Take a look at Granada here. Oh, okay, a level 3 dip one, but we're running level 5 advisors nonetheless. So yeah, we're only deving 4 times here, granted, but it is Granada, it's a bit behind. We're filling out ideas relatively quickly because we have all these monarch points coming in, we're just having a good time, even on every small country out here. Which again is kind of a thing for development. The deving going on in this game is insane if you just look at Europe. That's a lot of green for 1500. That's an incredible amount of green for 1500. We're seeing a lot of the small tags survive, and a lot of small tags keep monarch point generation going, and to keep just going in terms of their normal scaling. Byzantium is managing to survive, although yet again is having pretender rebels, which is the most Byzantium thing you could be doing. You've survived until the 1500s, and you're still in a civil war, of course you are. But even the bigger countries are able to invest this money into actual scaling. If we go and take a look at something like Hungary, for example, and take a look at their manufactories, we've pretty much built all of them. Same for things like ramparts, we've built a couple in the defensive places, we've built all our workshops, we've built, well, no courthouses because I guess they're not having issues with governing capacity, but we built all our churches as well. We're seeing a lot more scaling in terms of buildings by the AI because they will actually build them once they have an income. Another thing is, let's now also compare the manufacturing density of France. I would say a bit better than it was last time, but again, we're also struggling by just not having the technology for a couple of those and being out of building slots. But more importantly, and the nations that benefit the most, I think, out of this infinite money are actually going to be the Native Americans. They're having an incredible time right now. Infinite money is amazing for all of their custom buildings they could be building and all the other things they could be doing. It's just a great time for all of them. I have not seen the AI Native Americans do as well as they have, so it would be an absolutely miserable time for the Europeans to colonize. Although, again, the Europeans have also got infinite money to throw at the Native Americans as well. So I doubt the Native Americans will be able to pull out of it too successfully, but we might see a couple Native American federations survive. Regarding the Africa situation, they don't consolidate, but we are seeing nations that don't normally succeed that well, like Moravi, also pop up. Although, to draw any conclusions from that would be a bit disingenuous. We're just seeing smaller countries continue to exist, but it's not like smaller countries were very quickly consolidated in Africa. Like, if you just showed this map to me and said this is the 1500s, I wouldn't spot anything out of ordering. In fact, the most unordering thing here is Mahafale doing anything, and that's because I'm just traumatized by this country existing. But the rest of the world looks fine. I mean, frankly, Ming probably hasn't noticed we're playing with an infinite money mod, let's be honest. But hey, the hordes are doing their thing, and I guess Muscovy's expansion into the hordes has been slowed down, but nothing too major. The biggest losers here, ironically enough, are actually going to be the Ottomans, as basically all the easy people they have to kill early have instead become quite difficult for them to kill, and even the Mamluks are pushing a bit deeper into what would be considered more classic Ottoman land. Right, but another thing that we need to talk about though, and this is one of the issues that I encountered while testing this, is that running to the 1500s with the decision mod is quite nice for a lag point of view, but with all this infinite money coming in, the AI is making a lot of decisions on what it should be doing, what it should be building, and what it should be deving. The game really struggles to run. Meaning that I am quite interested to seeing what would happen by the 1600s, but it's taking quite a long time to let the AI, do the calculations. So maybe it's time for another video, or maybe I'll stop making excuses and actually run it. Fine. Maybe England can finally consolidate its country.
6.5 hours later.
So yes, I won't recommend doing this at home. This took disproportionately longer than it should to get to 1600s, but here's the world, and England is finally managing to get at least some of their land back, although, Wales has only been reduced from their initial provinces down to one, but you can see the provinces that the Welsh owned and developed. They are quite highly developed, and the rest can be said for the world. The development across this entire map is ridiculous. Everyone running level 5 advisors for all of this time has produced a very, very green Europe. Everything here is 30 dev, which is ridiculous. The Ottomans continue to be Ottomaning, Byzantium continues to stay alive, and Albania continues to exist, building ramparts and forts on their country, doing Albania things as you do. Although they've actually managed to expand and take Dubrovnik as well. Looking great. The development map mode again is continuing to be insane. So much green, apart from the Ottomans, which seem to be struggling, apart from the Anatolia provinces. The Ottomans really got hampered in here by having all these small countries able to survive longer and letting countries like the Mamluks and QQ eat into them instead. India remains relatively similar. I guess there's less consolidation, and the same can certainly be said for Germany and this area as a whole, and a lot more of the smaller countries just surviving. I mean, how long have you seen Lucas survive until the 1600s? I mean, I guess it happens in quite a few games, but so it's not that unusual, but and in the end of the day, this is a very, very divided HRE, which makes sense. The average country here has literally got like 70 development between all of them. This landship is almost too big to be vassalized diplomatically. England managed to do fine overall in the end. They've actually grabbed a bit of Holland because it seems that England, despite having infinite money, still desires more money, which is a very England thing to do. But overall, they're still having to put down a couple, shall we say, revolts over in the Scotland area. Not the greatest consolidation, but they're getting there eventually. Just goes to show that even with infinite money and all those things, England still has the lead when it comes to manpower, province count, and all those things that you need to wage war. Regarding our colonial situations, yeah, they managed to, for the most part. England has got Canada and 13 colonies going, but the Cree has fought back, and Florida, that was colonized by the French, has certainly been beaten back by the Cree. The Portuguese did manage to put the Aztecs out of their misery for the most part, and the Spanish are controlling decent chunks of Central America as well as the Caribbean. But yes, Brazil and all of these areas, unlike the natives in the north, they were no opposition to the Portuguese and the Spanish in this run at least. It's also interesting to see that, Morocco and Tunis certainly survived for a lot longer than they normally do, and Morocco actually went ahead and started colonizing the Ivory Coast, which I've never actually seen them do until this point, and even more so, invade into the areas, into the actual, the colonial areas of the colonial South Africa. I guess it's not really colonial there, but basically actually invade into Africa. So that's neat to see. And hey, look, there's even a small little British-English island here. Overall, though, it really goes without saying, basically everyone here is running level 5 advisors. It's going to be real cool if I click on these guys or not, but everyone here is running level 5 advisors. Everyone here has built all their monarch point buildings, not monarch point buildings, regimental camps. They built all the even marketplaces, their workshops, their churches, their menus. Everything here has been built and developed and built up because, again, the AI is printing monarch points and they're actually spending them, which is excellent to see. A lot of the time, the AI just doesn't. Here we are, even a random OPM Bambergs are sitting around on, granted, only 22 development, but building all the buildings and doing all the other things as well. That's neat to see. I guess they could probably hire a better advisor, but they, for some reason, seem reserved about upgrading the guy. So the overall conclusions are, you can give the AI's infinite income, but it gets very laggy, so bear that in mind. Nice thing is, the AI absolutely does spend the money, and giving everyone infinite money is an amazing equalizer, especially for keeping a lot of small countries alive. A lot of this money does get spent on advisors and buildings and a lot of other things that increase development, which increases wealth, which increases dev pushing and further wealth in a vicious cycle. Although in this case, the only thing that's been vicious is my CPU usage, meaning that the world gets filthy rich, filthy quick as well. If I took the mod off right now, a lot of these countries will frankly probably be able to afford those advisors anyway, given the just depth of development we see in Europe right now. Like, this is incredibly green. It's ridiculous. Areas without a lot of small countries do struggle. The Commonwealth is very united in general. There's not that many countries in the area. You have Lithuania and Poland, that's about it. And the same can be said for the Russia area. It does have a couple starting subjects, but the development here could certainly be better if there were just more countries in the area. And this can especially be seen in areas such as the Ming, which despite being, filthy rich, didn't actually develop excessively compared to what they normally do. I guess at the end of the day, the Ming is one of those countries that actually has enough money. So, overall, this mod really helps the smaller countries, and it helps their survivability. Byzantium normally would never survive this long, and even though they've only managed to dev Constantinople 31, which makes it not even a city of the world's desire, more like a village in Germany at this rate, it's still enough to keep the Ottomans abated. So there you go. If you want the AI to actually use the money you give it subsidies instead of gifts. But I've said that before. And yes, when presented with infinite money, the AI actually scales. But with that all said, that is all I have time for today. Thank you for watching, with a special thank you to my channel members, especially Ark, Solar, Solemon, W Haste, Sebastian Haller, Cherndoc 2.0, Nick Huss, Dark Fortuna, Big Salad, Leb Josh, Gay Fug, Clockwork Norse, and Golden Arrows.